Recording is on. Good evening and welcome everyone to week 2 of Mindful Mountain's Introduction to Meditation course. This evening we'll be practicing running the energy. We'll be learning a new technique called listening in, and we'll discuss the week's journaling card. I'm going to share my screen to present some slides. And see what that looks like. Week 2. I like consistency. You'll see most of the weekly slides look very similar. We'll be practicing a new technique called listening in. We will do running the energy and simple meditation. So the technique we'll be introducing this week is called listening in. This technique was given to Audley by Dr. Thind, and as I understand from stories, this is one of the only actual techniques that Dr. Thind taught. An Audley quote about listening in: "Let the sound be your guide and the light your protector." Listening in is designed to minimize external stimuli and direct the senses inward. We learn to listen to our inner selves, and we'll begin to perceive the subtle components of our energetic bodies. This will give us a tangible tool to gather information about yourself, quiet the mind, and learn to know ourselves more deeply. Listening in is practiced after you've run the energy. Your eyes will be closed, and you're going to try to look up into the inside of your head. So you're going to roll your eyes back a little bit. When you do that, your eyelids tend to want to open, so your fingers will actually close your eyelids, which also helps to darken any external sources of light that come in through your eyelids. Your thumbs will be closing your ears. You can put them right in the ear holes or close the ear flap. So your elbows will be out perpendicular. I've seen pictures of Dr. Thind's students, and they would build these wooden braces for their elbows that would sit next to their chair to hold their elbows up. We don't practice it that long. We will practice it 3 times and listen, and just holding your arms up for about 5 breaths. And you're just listening. You're listening to whatever sound you may hear, or no sounds if you don't hear sounds. Maybe you'll just be hearing sort of that seashell sound of like air, or sometimes you might get a sense of your heartbeat, or just physiological sounds of your body. But if, as you practice and you want to listen beyond that sound and see if you can pick up anything fainter from the background. You may get colors or sort of swirling color effects within your mind's eye, imagination. So about 5 breaths worth, or when your arms are tired, you just lower them and then sit quietly. Eyes still rolled back and sort of looking along the forehead, looking into the light produced by this technique. We do it 3 times. So you run the energy 3 times, and then you listen in 3 times, and then we practice simple meditation at the top of the head. Here's where you will use your writing implement and write down our second week card. This is the series of 12 cards that Audley put together for introspective purposes and self-awareness and self-knowledge, and a reminder throughout the week to check in with yourself. It's good practice to recall that you're making a determined effort to learn more about yourself. So the second week it's similar to the first week, but a little different. I promise to write down that which I find myself most interested in and note the reasons why I'm interested. And you don't need to fill a book. I have about half a page of notes jotted down from the first week's card. So just here and there, when you think about it, jot something down. This is your private journal. You're not being graded. It's not being turned in. It's for you. And it's interesting because in a much later class, these cards are presented again. And so it would be fun to have had this class's cards, and then later to do them again to see what might be different. And here's the last slide of contact info. And these slides and within this video will go on YouTube tomorrow so that you can reference. And then you can pause the video if you want to write down the notes and that kind of stuff. So shorter slides this week. I'm going to stop the share. Hi. Make you all big again. Here we are. Okay, so I wanted to review last week just a little bit. We practiced running the energy 3 times and a simple meditation. We talked about mala and mantra. And I wanted to share a little bit about the first week card, which was I promised to watch the events of my environment to see what objects, emotions, and desires attract and hold my attention, and I'll write down my reaction to what I find. And just a couple things I made note of. There were a couple events in my environment. One was my son's first lacrosse game. I was all excited to go, and they put COVID restrictions on the number of spectators allowed. So it was like the player and their one parent could go, and he was with his dad. So I wasn't able to go, and I was just struck by this sense of like, oh, COVID is still with us. It's still a thing affecting our lives, and that was disappointing. Another was today, actually, this afternoon, dealing with some phone service technical difficulties, which quickly try my patience and frustration. It's one area where I'm challenged to maintain mindfulness, is dealing with technical stuff. So there were some positive events that I noticed, but the general theme of what I made note of sort of had a less than positive reaction in me. And there's no need to sort of psychoanalyze yourself with this exercise. Just note that my reaction wasn't happy. My reaction was frustration and disappointment about those events. And then just period. That's all it needs to be. So that was the first week's card. So this week's card is a little bit different in our interests. So it's a little bit different than just making note of event that happens in a day, but more like throughout your days or throughout your life, noting where your interests lie. You know, what news articles do you choose to read? What sort of books are on your shelf? What shows do you watch? What are your interests, and why? So there's a little bit more analysis this week of why am I interested in that. So have some fun with it. It's introspective. So the technique for this week is called listening in, and this is the second major technique for this course. So we will always practice running the energy and listening in. So I was talking about the wooden elbow braces because it looks like this. My thumbs are going to close off my ear flap. My second finger is putting a little bit of pressure at the top of my cheekbone, right below my eyes. And my first finger sort of gently, not pressing my eyeballs, but just sort of gently keeping my lids closed, because my eyes will be looking up, sort of rolled back into your head, which will make your eyelids want to open. So we're going to settle in and get ready to meditate. So get comfortable. We are seated upright. Our legs are crossed at the ankles. I'm sort of sitting Indian style in a chair, but they can be on the floor, but cross your ankles. And our thumb and forefinger are together. And remember, we're palm down on the knees. So a couple deep breaths. Let your eyes fall closed. And we direct our attention to the top of the head. We imagine, we feel, we see in our mind's eye golden energy sort of building up in a pile or a ball at the top of the head here. And using my mind, I'm going to move this golden energy ball down into my willpower center, inside or behind the forehead. And then sort of let it collapse and wash down over the face. Neck, across the shoulders and down the arms. I'm going to leave that golden energy in my hands and take my attention back to the top of the head. Think about building up more golden energy. You can also imagine a little bit of pink in there if you'd like. Again, we move the energy into the forehead. And this time, direct it back through the brain. It's moving front to back, filling the brain with light. At the back of the brain, we'll send the energy down the spine. All the way to the tip of the coccyx, tailbone, and then continuing it through the hips, down the upper legs. Think about collecting or merging with that energy we left in the hands so that we can send all of it down the lower legs and out the bottom of the feet where it dissolves away. Let it go. Attention goes back to the top of the head. Those are the two movements. We'll repeat them 2 more times. Ask for golden light. Imagine it feeling like sunlight. Let's move the energy into the forehead. Run it down the face, over the neck and shoulders, and down the arms. Leave it in the hands. Return to the top of the head. Again, energy down into willpower, inside the forehead. And now back through the brain, front to back like a wave washing over. And then down the spine. See it pushing through all the way to the bottom of the spine, the coccyx. And then just flowing through the hips, upper legs, collecting that energy from the hands so we can flush it all away out the bottom of the feet. It's like an internal shower. Let's go back to the top of the head. Golden light. You may notice a sense of weight or pressure or tingling as you focus here. Move the energy down into willpower. And then let it wash down over the neck, face and neck. Across your shoulders and down the arms. Leave it in the hands. And back to the top of the head, the final movement. Imagine this golden light being bright and vibrant. As once more we move it into willpower in the forehead. And then let it wash back over the brain. Down the spine, touching every vertebrae. Continue through the hips, upper legs. And with the energy from our hands, we send it down the lower legs, out the feet. Let it dissolve away. And always take your attention, your consciousness, your awareness back to the top of the head. Note how you feel, what sensations you notice in your body. We will now practice listening in 3 times. You're going to raise your elbows, close off your eyes and ears. I will speak loud when we lower our arms. And you're just listening. Listen inside. About 5 breaths. And you can lower your arms. Concentrating along the inside of the forehead. Let's listen in a second time. And you can bring your arms down. Notice that slight shift when that internal intensity of focus lessens a bit. We'll practice one more time, slightly longer this time. Remember, you're listening for the subtle sounds in the distance. Go ahead and lower your arms. And we'll move right into simple meditation. Our awareness focused at the top of the head. I am the light mantra coordinated with breath. Centered in stillness. I am a light. I think it's a very nice way to end my practice by imagining a bow to myself, an expression of gratitude to myself for taking some time and some space to connect with myself. And gently we bring our attention from the top of the head down to the bridge of the nose between the eyes. You feel like sort of settling back into your physical body. Stretch a little bit, rub your eyes. Return to awareness of your space. Wonderful. So, a bit less talking this week, shorter slides. We have our two main techniques under our belt, running the energy, listening in. There will be fun things added weekly. And this video will be available tomorrow if you need to review slides. I think that works well. This class is so much different to do in person. So, sharing paper handouts. And thought, how am I going to share these slides? So video works. Listening in requires practice. It's foreign. It's weird. We've probably never done anything like that before. I don't know, what am I doing here? I'm just sitting in the dark. I don't hear anything. It's okay. Just the practice of darkening external light, closing off external sound, reducing distractions, just doing that facilitates an inward focus much more easily and readily. And that has benefit just in itself. As you practice, the longer you listen in, the longer you will want to listen in. And next week, I'll talk more about what sounds you might hear and how they relate to information about your energetic self. So it's a powerful technique, it really is. So we'll keep practicing it. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions or thoughts. We have a few more minutes. I know my teachers would say, oh, it's working. Nobody can even think. If questions come up for you throughout the week, please email. Happy to chat that way. Or we can address them in next week. Nice. Okay, then Matt will end the recording and we will wrap it up. If you can come to the